Nonprofits need good governance first to provide maximum insulation from liability for the fiduciaries of the charity. So who are the fiduciaries? They're basically the officers, directors, and trustees and key employees. So what's generally a fiduciary? That's basically any person who acts on behalf of another. Now there's two perspectives on personal liability that I want to talk about. One is tax liability, excise taxes, for instance. Second is a breach of a fiduciary duty, which is a state law concept. So failing to oversee the operations of the charity, for instance. And what's the fundamental benefits of having good governance? Well, number one is to educate the fiduciaries, so at least they know what their responsibilities and duties look like. And secondly, to identify issues before they become problems. The second reason why nonprofits need good governance is because there's a variety of constituencies that care. The first constituency that cares is Congress. Now there's been a big movement to self-regulation regarding the charitable sector, even back to 1918. But Congress has still had to act. Like in 1969, all of the regulatory and excise tax regime that's been imposed on private foundations. And ever since then, Congress has been adding excise taxes for public charities, penalties for different activities, affecting the tax qualification issues of charities. So Congress cares. The Internal Revenue Service cares. And recently, there's been a significant increase in IRS scrutiny of nonprofit governance, both at the time of granting exemption. If you're audited, there's now a governance check sheet. They've adopted a set of good governance practices. And the game changer was in 2008 with the changes to the Form 990. And now they have a whole section just dedicated to nonprofit governance. Do you have the kinds of policies that the Internal Revenue Service believes you should have? What happened is they've created a standard of self-evaluation and improved self-governance through disclosure. Make no mistake, the IRS 990 is a PR document. Organizations that rate charities will review it. State governments, of course, the Internal Revenue Service, and potential donors will review your 990. Other constituencies care, like state attorneys general, as well as disgruntled donors and their heirs. More multi-count lawsuits are being filed directly against directors and officers of charities for a breach of fiduciary duty under state law. And that can be for a variety of actions or inactions, like excess spending from endowed funds or excessive compensation paid to the president, like in a New Jersey case. Or the university's investment advisor was sued for conflict of interest. And in California, there was a case where the board failed to properly oversee the charity and was sued jointly and severally, even though they had no direct involvement with the misuse of funds. The other area of state activity is enforcing state charitable solicitations laws. And in that case, civil and criminal penalties can be imposed. The last constituency may be the most important, and that's your potential donors. They have a right to expect effective governance, policies in place to assist your fiduciary in their carrying out of their duties. But there are major concerns with this increased scrutiny by the IRS in nonprofit governance. For instance, associated costs. Are they adding an extra administrative burden? And by requiring the adoption of uniform policies, are you limiting the creativity and vibrancy that is the heart of the charitable sector? Now, what's important to remember is that there's no cookie cutter or one-size-fits-all policy. They have to be tailored to the needs of the particular charity. It is also clear that superior nonprofit governance has more to do with the values and active engagement of the board and transparency and accountability in the charity's operations than blindly adopting policies. Now, charities may adopt policies for the sake of answering these questions on the Form 990, what they deem to be correctly. Well, there are no correct answers. The policies that are too rigid limit creativity and flexibility, and policies that are too broad simply provide no guidance to your fiduciary. So it is undeniable that good nonprofit governance is best for all size charities. And at the heart of good governance is the adoption of well thought out, disciplined, and effective policies that are individually customized for a particular charity situations. It's better not to have policies than to adopt policies that you don't follow or aren't fit to your charity's needs. Now, the public trust, that's the bedrock of our charitable sector. And cases of mismanagement and lack of oversight that are publicized erodes the public trust. So all of these differing constituencies have a legitimate concern in nonprofit governance. So then, what are the challenges to getting good governance?